Okay, so here's the thing about money in your 20s. Everybody wants to talk to you about it, and almost all of it is useless. You've got one crowd screaming at you to save every penny, skip the coffee, never enjoy anything, live like a monk so that in 40 years you'll be comfortable. And then you've got the other crowd, usually standing in front of a car they rented for the video, telling you to spend big, look rich, fake it till you make it. And both of them are kind of missing the point, because the real question was never spend or save. The real question is what's actually worth spending on and what's just lighting money on fire while feeling productive about it. And I've done a lot of both. I've thrown money at absolute garbage. And I've spent money on a few things that paid me back so many times over, it's almost funny. So this isn't me lecturing you from some mountain. This is just me, someone a bit further down the same road you're on, telling you where I stepped in the holes so maybe you don't have to. I'm going to walk you through the actual stuff. The money I wasted, so you can laugh at me a bit. And then the money that changed everything, which is the part I actually want you to hear. Stick around for the last one especially, because it's the one I wish somebody had grabbed me by the shoulders and explained when I was younger. Let's start with the wreckage, because it's more fun and because you can't appreciate the good spending without seeing the dumb spending first. When I was younger and I first started making a little bit of my own money, I did what almost everyone does. I spent it trying to look like I had more of it. That's the trap, right? You get your first bit of money and instead of using it to build anything, you use it to send a signal. Look at me. I'm doing well. I've got the thing. I bought stuff I didn't need to impress people I didn't even like. There was this whole period where I thought the answer to feeling behind was just buying nicer versions of things I already had. New phone when the old one was fine. Clothes I wore twice. Little gadgets that sat in a drawer within a month. And every single one of them gave me this hit of excitement for about, 2 days? And then it just became normal. And I was back to feeling exactly how I felt before, except now with less money. And then there were the business expenses, which is where it gets really good. Because I didn't just waste money on stuff. I wasted money trying to get rich quick, which is somehow worse because it comes wrapped in the feeling that you're being smart and ambitious. I poured money into dropshipping, into running ads for products nobody wanted, into little courses promising me the secret formula. I was convinced I was investing. I wasn't. I was gambling and dressing it up as investing so I could feel good about it. Here's the lesson buried in all that waste, and I want you to actually catch it because it took me way too long. Almost none of that money bought me anything that lasted. It all evaporated. The stuff, the schemes, all of it, gone, with basically nothing to show for it a year later. And that became my rough test for money, this one question. A year from now, will this still be paying me something back in any form? Because most of what we buy fails that test badly. And the few things that pass it are the whole game. So keep that question in your back pocket as I go through the good stuff. A year from now, is this still giving me something? All right. So here's the first thing I ever spent money on that actually paid me back. And it's almost insultingly cheap, which is kind of the point. Books. And information, more broadly. But let's start with books, because I can still remember the exact shift. For most of my life, I thought books were, a school thing, a boring thing, something you were forced to do. And then at some point, kind of by accident, I bought a couple of books about money and about how people actually build better lives. Not the flashy get-rich stuff, the boring, real, foundational stuff. And I remember reading one of them and having this genuinely uncomfortable realization, which was, wait, this changes how I see everything. And it cost me the same as a couple of coffees. Think about how insane that trade is for a second. Somebody spent years, sometimes their whole life, figuring something out. The mistakes, the lessons, the stuff that actually works. And then they packaged all of it up, everything they learned, and they're handing it to you for the price of lunch. That's the most lopsided deal that exists anywhere. You're getting decades of someone's hard-won experience for basically nothing. And most people walk right past it because it's not exciting and it doesn't come with a countdown timer or a guy shouting at them to buy now. And I'm not just talking about books, to be fair. I mean cheap information in general, the right course, the right person to follow, the ones actually teaching instead of selling a dream. A few of those genuinely rewired how I think, and none of it cost much. The money I spent learning has come back to me so many times over that I can't even measure it because it didn't just teach me one thing. It changed the lens I see every decision through, and that keeps paying out forever. So if you're 20-something and broke and you feel like you can't invest in anything yet, I need you to hear this. You can. This is the one. Cheap learning is the highest return thing you will ever buy, and you can start this week. That's not a maybe. Of everything I'm going to say in this whole video, that's the one I'm most sure of. Alright, this next one is the one that actually stings a little to talk about because it's the one I got wrong for the longest. Investing. Putting money into the market. Buying a small piece of things that grow over time instead of just letting my money sit there doing nothing or, worse, getting spent on junk. And here's my honest confession. I waited way too long to start. For years I told myself all the classic stuff. I'll start investing when I have more money, because what's the point with the tiny bit I've got? I'll get into it once I understand it properly, once I've studied it more, once it feels less scary. I'll wait until the timing looks better. There was always a reason to push it to later. And every single one of those reasons felt responsible in the moment. I genuinely thought I was being smart by waiting. I wasn't being smart. I was just scared and calling it patience. Because here's what nobody grabs you and explains, and I really wish they had. When you're young, the actual amount of money you invest barely matters. What matters, more than anything, is time. Money that you invest and leave alone has this quiet way of growing on top of its own growth, over and over, for years. And the engine that makes that happen is time. So the single most valuable thing you have when it comes to money is not a big salary. It's being young. It's the years in front of you. And every year you spend waiting to start, you're burning the one resource you can never buy back or get more of. And when I finally did start, you know what the crazy part was? It was easy. It was almost anticlimactic. All that fear, all those years of telling myself I needed to understand more and have more, and the actual act of starting took, what, an afternoon. I put in a small amount. The small amount I'd been telling myself was too small to bother with, and that was it. I was in. And the main thing I felt wasn't pride. It was this annoyed feeling, like, that's it? That's the thing I've been avoiding for years? I could have been doing this the whole time. So please, learn from my slow start. You do not need to be an expert. You do not need a lot of money. You need to begin, small, now, with whatever you've got, and let time do the heavy lifting. The best day to start was years ago. The second best day is today. That's not a cute saying. It's just literally how the math works. Look back at what I've told you so far. The stuff that wasted my money was always the complicated stuff, the clever scheme, the advanced strategy. The thing with 10 steps and a secret formula, and a guy promising it was more sophisticated than it looked. Every time I reached for complicated, I got burned. And the stuff that actually built my life was almost embarrassingly simple. Buy a book, read it, put a small amount into the market and leave it alone. Learn one useful thing from someone who actually knows. None of that is impressive. None of it would make a good flashy video with fast cuts and a countdown. It's boring. And boring is exactly why it works, because boring is what you can actually keep doing, and keeping doing it is the entire secret, if there even is one. Complicated is usually just a more expensive way to feel busy while getting nowhere. Simple is what's left when you strip out the noise and only keep what actually moves the needle. So whenever you're not sure if something's worth your money, run it through that filter. Is this simple and boring and genuinely useful? Or is it complicated and exciting and probably a trap? 9 times out of 10, that tells you everything. Okay, shifting gears a bit, because it's not all about building wealth. Some of the best money I've spent had nothing to do with getting a return, at least not a money one. Your body and your energy. Spending on that is worth it, and I was slow to figure this out too. For a long time, I treated my body like it was free, like it would just keep running no matter what I fed it or how little I slept. I'd save money by eating the cheapest, worst food, and then wonder why I felt like garbage every afternoon and couldn't focus on anything. I was being smart with money and completely stupid with the thing that money is supposed to serve, which is me being alive and feeling good. And at some point, I started actually spending a bit on this. Better food, the kind that doesn't leave you foggy and heavy. Whatever it took to sleep better, because tired me makes worse decisions about literally everything, including money. Moving my body, which, okay, That one can be free. But the point is, I started treating my health as something worth spending on instead of the first thing to cut. Here's the reframe that got me, and it's a bit blunt. You are the machine that earns all the money and lives all the life. If the machine is running on empty, nothing else you spend on even matters, because you're too drained to use any of it. Spending to keep yourself healthy and clear-headed isn't a luxury or a treat. It's maintenance on the one asset everything else depends on. You wouldn't put the cheapest possible everything into a car you needed to drive for the next 60 years. Don't do it to yourself. This next one took me the longest to understand, and it's a bit of a mindset flip, so stay with me. At some point, spending a little money to save yourself time becomes one of the smartest things you can do. And when you're young and broke, this feels wrong. It feels like something only rich people get to do. But it starts smaller than you think. For most of my life, my instinct was the opposite. I'd spend hours doing something myself to save a small amount of money. And sometimes that's right. When you're truly broke, your time is worth less than the cash, and doing it yourself is correct. I get that. But I kept that mindset way too long, past the point where it made sense. I'd burn a whole afternoon saving a tiny bit of money and never once counted the afternoon as a cost because my time felt free. It wasn't free. It was the most valuable thing I had. I just wasn't putting a number on it. The shift is realizing your time is not free. It's the least free thing about you because it's the one thing you cannot get more of. So spending a little money to buy back hours, whether that's a tool that does the boring task for you, or paying for the thing that saves you a painful commute, or just not driving across town to save pocket change, that can be a fantastic use of money. Because those hours you buy back, you can pour into the stuff that actually grows your life. The learning, the building, the people, the rest. I'm not telling you to blow money to be lazy. I'm saying start seeing your time as the real currency, and money as just a tool you can sometimes trade to protect it. Once that clicked for me, I stopped being proud of saving money in ways that were quietly costing me my life. All right, softer one, but I'd be lying if I left it out. Some of the best money I've ever spent bought me nothing I can hold. No object, no return, no asset. Just a memory or time with people I care about. And for a while, my logical, trying to be smart brain thought that was wasteful. It wasn't. It was some of the most worth it money of all. Here's the thing I noticed, and maybe you've noticed it too. I can barely remember a single thing I bought to impress people. All that stuff, gone from my memory, like it never happened. But the trips, the nights out with people I love, the random experiences, even the ones that went a bit wrong, I remember all of those in detail. Those are the things that actually stayed. Those are what my life is actually made of when I look back, not the gadgets. Now, I want to be careful here, because this one gets abused. This is not permission to blow all your money making memories and end up broke, telling yourself you're living your best life while your future quietly falls apart. That's just the guru trap wearing a nicer shirt. It's about balance. Build the boring foundation, the investing, the learning, the health. And then, deliberately, spend some on the experiences and the people. Because a life that's all saving and no living isn't actually a life. It's just a spreadsheet you're afraid to spend. Both matter. Don't let anyone sell you all the way to one extreme. Let me flip it around, because knowing what's not worth your money is honestly just as valuable as knowing what is. The stuff that's almost never worth it, in my experience, is anything you're buying mainly so other people will think something about you. That's the big one. That's the master trap underneath most bad spending. The car that's nicer than you need, bought for the neighbours. The brand on the clothes that does the exact same job as the cheaper one but comes with a logo tax. The upgrade you can't actually tell apart from the version you had, except that this one sounds more impressive when you mention it. And I fell for so much of this, so I'm not judging you if you have too. The reason it's such a trap is that it feels amazing for a moment and then does absolutely nothing for you. Because here's the brutal little truth about buying things to impress people. The people you're trying to impress? They glance at it for a second and then go right back to thinking about themselves, same as everyone. You paid a fortune for a reaction that lasted 3 seconds and that they forgot immediately. Nobody is as impressed by your stuff as you hope, and nobody is as focused on it as you fear. So you're paying full price for an audience that isn't even watching. The version of spending that actually makes you feel good long term is spending on things only you will ever know about. The investment nobody sees, the book nobody knows you read, the quiet health stuff, the skills, all the private stuff that slowly makes your actual life better, versus the loud stuff that makes your life look better to strangers for an afternoon. Chase the quiet kind. It's cheaper and it lasts. So if I zoom all the way out, past all these chapters, there's really one idea underneath every single thing I've said, and it's this. The best money you can spend in your 20s is money spent on becoming a better, more capable, more solid version of yourself. That's the whole thing. Every good example I gave is really just a version of that. Books and courses make you more capable. Investing early makes future you more secure. Health makes you more able to do anything at all. Buying back time gives you room to grow. Even the memories make you a fuller person. It's all investing in yourself, just in different clothes. And the reason this beats everything else is beautifully simple. You are the one asset that's involved in every single thing you'll ever do. Every dollar you'll earn, every relationship, every project, every good day, it all runs through you. So anything that makes you sharper, healthier, wiser, more capable, pays off across your entire life, in every area at once, forever. There is no better return than that. A skill can't be taken from you. A lesson you truly learned is yours for good. A healthier body carries you through decades. That's the money that compounds the hardest. And it's the money most people spend the least on because it's quiet and slow and nobody's shouting about it. Stuff breaks, gets old, gets forgotten. Schemes collapse. Trends die. But a better, you just keep showing up in everything for the rest of your life. So if you only take one thing from this whole video, take that. When you're deciding where your money goes, ask whether it's making you a better version of you or just making your life look better to people who aren't paying attention. Put your money on you. Quietly. Consistently. It's the only bet I've never seen lose. So, to bring it home, I wasted a lot of money in my 20s trying to look like something. And I built the actual foundation of my life with a handful of quiet, boring, unglamorous purchases that nobody clapped for. Cheap books, a small amount invested and left alone, taking care of the machine, buying back my own time, real experiences with real people, and above all, spending on becoming someone more capable over and over, because that's the one that pays off everywhere. None of it was complicated. None of it was a secret. It was all simple, and it was all sitting right there the whole time while I was distracted by the exciting stuff that led nowhere. You've got this window right now, these years, where the smallest smart decisions pay off the most, just because you're young and time is on your side. Don't waste that window buying things to impress people who'll never think about you again. Spend it on you, on learning, on starting, on your health, on your time, on the people who matter. That's the money you'll look back on and be glad about. I promise you it is. Keep it simple. I'll catch you in the next one.